We know the legend, but before they were known as Smoke and Stack, before the blood and the silence, before the joint in Mississippi, they were just two boys born into a world already at war with them. They were born minutes apart on a stormy Tuesday in 1907, beneath the cracked rafters of a one-room shack on the outskirts of Clarksdale, Mississippi. Elijah Moore came first, silent, eyes wide open. His brother Elias Moore followed, wailing with the voice of both of them. Their mother, a healer and midwife named Ruth, bled for hours. She died before sunrise. Their father, Henry Moore, a worn-down sharecropper, never spoke their names again. Some say the grief stole his voice. Others say he feared what the boys would become. The town whispered. Twins were rare enough, but ones that never cried, that walked in perfect step, that stared down adults without blinking. Omen talk, hoodoo talk. And then there were the dreams. Elijah would wake screaming. Elias never would. By the time they were 10, their names were gone. Their cousins called them Smoke for Elijah's quiet, lingering stare, and Stack for Elias's cocky grin and quick hands. They never corrected anyone. Maybe they forgot their real names. Maybe they buried them. Even before war in Chicago, the twins had a reputation in Clarksdale, earned not just in silence but in chaos. And they didn't earn it alone. Cornbread, their only real friend, was the third rail of their electricity. Cornbread was a year older, mouth full of jokes and fists full of firecrackers. Where Smoke watched and Stack acted, Cornbread lit the fuse. The trio ran wild across cotton fields and graveyards, stealing chickens, swimming in irrigation canals, and sneaking into the old Mason Lodge to dare each other to touch the noose left hanging from a rafter. One summer, they found a rusted pistol under a collapsed shed. They took turns firing it at tin cans until the sheriff rode up. They scattered. Stack made it home. Smoke hid in the barn. But Cornbread didn't run fast enough. He came back days later, bruised and quiet. After that, the games changed. Yeah, fewer laughs, more silence. By age 11, they'd already been shot at, chased by dogs, and nearly drowned twice. People said they were cursed. Maybe they were. But the three of them, they never said a word about it, not even to each other. Then Smoke and Stack left for war, just disappeared. Their house sat quiet, windows shuttered. Cornbread came by every day for a while, then every week. Then he stopped coming altogether. The next all three are seen together again is when the twins suddenly show up in Clarksdale. She never wore shoes, not even in winter. Annie, they called her. Some said she was the granddaughter of a conjure woman. Others whispered she was just slow. But to Smoke, Annie was different. They met by the river one morning. She was building something from driftwood and feathers. Smoke didn't speak. He just watched, and she didn't flinch. That silence, that stillness, was how they understood each other. Annie became his shadow. They'd sit under the bridge in silence while Cornbread and Stack skipped rocks or chased dogs. She showed Smoke how to listen for snakes in the grass. He showed her how to light a fire with just flint and breath. People talked. That boy's off with the conjure girl again. But Smoke didn't care. Around her, he didn't need to speak. He could just be. One day, Annie kissed him. Didn't ask. Just did it. Then she ran. The next morning, she was gone. No one saw her leave. Some said her family moved. Others said she wandered too far into the woods. Smoke never told Stack, never told Cornbread. But after that, his silence took on a different shape, like something had been taken and buried deep, like a promise he couldn't make. They say Annie still walks the riverbanks barefoot, humming to herself. But Smoke never looked back. Months later, whispers spread through Clarksdale. Annie had been seen near the old baptism bridge, belly round and eyes hollow. Some said it was Smoke's. Some said it wasn't even human. By the time the twins left for war, no one had seen Annie or the baby. The only proof she ever existed was a bundle of feathers left at the edge of the river, and the way Smoke flinched whenever a child cried too long. It was the summer before they left. The house was too quiet. Henry Moore had grown into something twisted. Grief curdled into cruelty. He drank hard. He yelled harder. Some nights he called them by the wrong names. Other nights, he didn't come home at all. One night, Stack came home with blood on his knuckles and a welt on his cheek. He didn't say a word. Smoke just nodded. That night, they sat on the porch for hours, not speaking, watching the fireflies. Then came the cellar night. No one knows exactly what happened, only that the next morning, Henry Moore was dead at the bottom of the stairs, his neck broken. Some say he slipped. Others say it wasn't the fall that killed him, but the look in Isaiah's eyes. The sheriff asked questions. No charges were filed. Henry had no friends. The twins buried him next to Ruth under the pecan tree. No marker. 3 days later, they enlisted. No goodbyes, no fanfare. Just two boys walking into town with nothing but their names already gone. War came calling in the form of a recruiter with silver buttons and promises of escape. The twins, barely 16, lied about their age and signed up. Europe was cold, cruel, and red. The trenches swallowed boys whole. Smoke saw the killing as necessary. Stack saw it as a game until the gas came. They returned in 1919 with medals no one cared about and lungs that burned in the night. Their silence deepened. At first, they refused to speak of the war. Eventually, they refused to speak at all, except to each other in gestures and glances. Chicago offered escape. The Great Migration was a current pulling thousands north. They followed, pockets empty, but eyes sharp. There they met power. Irish mobs, Italian rackets, and colored crews all fighting for scraps. The twins didn't ask permission. They took. They earned their names anew. Smoke, the man who appeared behind you without a sound. Stack, the one who left your body stacked in the alley. They dressed sharp, hit clean, and never talked. Judges hated them. Bosses feared them. Everyone paid them. Their notoriety reached the ears of one man whose name eclipsed all others. Al Capone. At first, Capone was curious, then impressed, then cautious. The twins were brought in not as underlings, but as freelancers, cleanup crews, quiet fixers. They were used to send messages Capone didn't want spoken. Bodies dumped in alleys, no witnesses, no noise. Capone never fully trusted them, but he respected them. He called them my little phantoms. Some said the twins turned down offers to join his inner circle. Others claimed Capone refused them entry out of fear they couldn't be controlled. One story claims Capone once invited them to a private dinner. Only the three of them. No bodyguards, just food, bourbon, and an envelope filled with cash. The twins didn't touch a bite, didn't utter a word. When the night ended, Capone stood and said, "You two, you ain't made. You're born." Their money didn't just come from hits, it came from deception. After their work with Capone, the twins began playing a silent game with the Irish and Italians alike. No one noticed it at first, just a few missing crates here, a diverted shipment there. But the twins were watching every angle, every handoff, every distracted moment in back alleys and underground tunnels. They weren't just hitmen anymore. They were thieves, quiet ones, precise. They skimmed from Capone's barrels, the O'Rourke gang's gin runs, the Romano family's rum caches, always enough to avoid suspicion, never enough to start a war. They used fake ledgers, switched delivery markers, and employed mute teenage runners from the South Side to redirect shipments to hidden compartments beneath slaughterhouses and freight yards. They buried liquor in coffins, walled it behind crumbling tenement bricks, and stored it beneath a gutted church. They even used shipments routed through funeral homes. No one knew how much they were sitting on, but by 1926, they had enough alcohol hidden across 3 states to fuel an underground empire. That's when the legend started, that the twins weren't just ghosts, they were building something, and not a soul could prove it. They were rich now, not Rockefeller rich, but rich enough to buy silence, suits, and property. And still, they lived together, ate together, slept in the shifts. The code was unspoken. No outsiders, no women, no breaks. But that code had already been tested long ago back in Mississippi. Mary wasn't just a woman from their past. She was the one who lingered like smoke even years later. Her mother had nursed the twins when their own mother died. And as teens, Stack and Mary crossed the line between kin and temptation. They were close, maybe too close. Then abruptly, Stack left for war. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't even tell Mary he was going, just vanished. No goodbyes, no closure. Years passed. He never wrote, not once. So when their eyes met again years later at that train station, after everything, they were strangers and something more. Time had cut them apart and sealed it with silence. In the fall of 1931, they vanished. No one in Chicago saw them again. Word drifted downriver. Smoke and Stack were back in Clarksdale. They bought land outside town, a burned-out sawmill, rebuilt it with their own hands, turned it into something different. Locals said it was a juke joint. Others said it was a trap. The money was old, bloody, and northern. But the brothers kept their word. They hired local workers, built with black carpenters, and gave musicians a place to play without fear. But they were older now, harder. Their silence no longer mysterious, just terrifying. And just before the music started, just before the movie begins, something changed. The air shifted, and the legend began. I hope you enjoyed this hypothetical imagining of the Smokestack Twins' beginnings. Hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Which moment from their past did you like the most? This is Real Reelz, where the untold becomes unforgettable.